Hmm? Ah!
You have no idea how happy I am to see you unharmed.
Unharmed? What are you doing here?
I rode north with the Knights of the Vale to come to your aid. They're encamped at Moat Caelan as we speak.
To come to my aid. Did you know about Ramsay? If you didn't know, you're an idiot. If you did know, you're my enemy.
Hey, Throners, welcome to our podcast. I'm Mr. Blog.
And I'm Rem.
And this is Game of Microphones, episode 20. I am joined this week with Rem from the Sci-Fi Movie Podcast. Rem, how the hell you doing?
Doing good, Mr. Blog, man. I'm just so chomping at the bit to talk about this one.
Oh,
Thank you
God.
for having me on. Really, really appreciate it.
What an episode to come on to. Seriously.
Man,
You picked a
I think I need some
doozy,
therapy.
man. Everybody needs some therapy after this one. I mean, this is this episode where how many people are going to be curling up into little balls on the floor the next time somebody says, "Hey, could you hold the door for me?"
Can you hold the door for me? I'm afraid.
You know, and it's funny, even at the beginning, the little clip that we play at the very beginning of the show, I almost chose the hold the door thing of Hodor saying that over and over and over again until we finally said Hodor. And I thought, I can't do that. I can't do that to our listeners.
It just brings up all that
hurts.
emotion right away.
It just hurts too much. It hurts
was
way
so
too
emotional.
much.
And it seems like the last few episodes, the emotional element, I think we're seeing so much payoff now with the characters.
Oh,
you know?
yes.
They spent time taking all these loving, caring steps and building these characters, putting these chess pieces into place. Now they're paying off, and it's just a delight to watch.
They really are, and I'm glad you used the chess analogy, because I've certainly used that a lot over the course of this season and even last, where this show is masterful in the way that it sets up these pieces over time. And like you just said, you know, I always kind of liken it more every season that they set up these chess pieces. But now you're beginning to see that, oh my goodness, they've been setting up these pieces from the very beginning.
And when you look at too, something where we see the reveal that it was Baelish behind the poisoning of Jon Arryn. We see this in the 4th, 5th season, and we think, my God, this guy's been doing this since the very beginning.
Yeah. It's funny, and I was even thinking Littlefinger is the one who's been moving more pieces and varies than anybody else.
Yeah. These are the two characters, and I think there's been some really interesting developments with these two that we really see in tonight's episode.
Oh yeah, they're not at the top of their form either, which is kind of wonderful.
Not.
And the people who were very minor players who seemed like they would be just, you know, destroyed early on, Sansa, really coming into their own.
It would appear that I don't know if this is the right phrase, but the worm has turned. Is that a good phrase to use? Because every time I think about that phrase, I think of an actual worm turning over.
Well, that's interesting. I was thinking more the student has become the master sort of a thing. But
snatch the pebble from my hand, grasshopper.
Well, something like that. Well, okay, so at the beginning, before we get started on our top 5 for this, I like to give any guest an opportunity to make a plug. Do it. Oh,
a plug. Well, all right. My name is Rem, and I'm the creator and co-host of the Sci-Fi Movie Podcast, which you'll find at sci-fi-moviepodcast.com, where myself and my very good friend Jonathan host a podcast on science fiction movies. And we dig into movies and talk about them, about what makes them good or what makes them awful. And then we talk about how these movies are really reflections of our culture and how we can learn from them and how they sort of give us road signs as to where we as a civilization are going. And it's just fun to talk about sci-fi.
Yeah, it is. Now, as somebody who's been on, oh my goodness, 4 episodes with you guys, I'm happy to make that plug. So absolutely, everybody, Sci-Fi Movie Podcast, check it out. Rem is an absolute delight on those. Jonathan is your yin to your yang. I love you guys so much. It's such a great show.
I appreciate that.
A little bit bummed to find out you guys are going monthly.
Yeah, we've made a big format change. We've been looking at how we might be able to. What we really want to do is we want to build a way of giving more value to our listener. And what we're starting to do now is we're starting to look at movies that have been done recently. We're talking about theatrical releases. We're talking about films that are in production that haven't been released yet. And we're also talking about recommendations for older films and films to avoid. So at the end of it, we want to be able to say to somebody, here's 3 or 4 movies you might really like. You know what? And here's another one that you probably just want to stay away from. So if we could give some help to our faithful listener and point them in the direction of the best sci-fi and help them avoid the bad stuff, then I think we've done our job.
Well, based on your episode on Dude, Where's My Car?
Oh, no.
I think you've pointed somebody away from a...
Good.
I got to tell you.
Did I save you 2 hours on that one?
No, I saw that in the theater.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I actually did. No, it was, it was fun. It was goofy. It's a silly movie.
Fun,
Thank you,
fun.
Rem. Great plug.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Good stuff. Check it out. Sci-Fi Movie Podcast, also part of the Podcastica Network.
Indeed.
I will say before we get going again on this, everybody, thank you all for your support over the last 5 episodes. This is my last episode as host of Game of Microphones. However, I will be back for the season finale with Jason as host and David, who was with me in the last episode. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. Just want to get that out of the way. Enough of this. Rem, let's talk about Game of Thrones, Season 6, Episode 5, The Door.
The Door.
Before we get into our top 5s, your overall impression. What did you think of this episode?
It was such a mixture of feelings where we saw really fun, interesting, quirky moments between Brienne and Tormund. This storyline is moving like a hey, I can swear, can't I?
You can swear all you want here, man. We're covering Game of Thrones. Come on.
People on the podcast that I do are not going to expect this, but this story is moving like a fucking freight train.
Yes, it
is. It has left the station and it is moving at warp speed. And I think what's happening now is we're seeing like we said before, all the pieces are put into place. Things are starting to really execute now. The payoffs in the character are really great, and we're seeing big opening pieces for the storyline. The history and the origins of the White Walkers.
Oh my goodness, I did not expect that. I did not expect that at all.
You know what? And even though you're a book reader, it seems like all the book readers were surprised too.
Absolutely. No, well, look, we are out of book territory right now. We are into this. I mean, and seriously, I almost get the feeling like Weiss and Benioff, the double D's there. They're saying books. We don't need those stinking books. Books. They're going with it, and I do feel like it's kind of interesting that there seems to be this correlation between we're freed from the shackles of what has come before and all the little details and minutia of the books. We can now really propel this story. And I'm sure it's over the oversight of Martin. I'm sure even with the books, there's going to be a certain propulsion in the last 2. I mean, naturally you would expect.
Oh, for sure.
But you feel like they are making this push towards the end game, that we have reached this moment well beyond the tipping point.
Yeah, they've turned a corner and now they're into a straightaway. But what's also great is we're getting these quiet, gentle, soft moments. And you look at last week's episode where we finally have 2 Starks reunite, and I watched that hug 5 or 6 times.
Aw,
so good. And then we get the scene with Jorah and Dany, which was so touching. So these really beautifully constructed character moments, and then these great big ass-kicking action sequences.
Yes.
This has got everything.
And it's like they found that really nice balance between those. And I think, of course, a lot of that has to do, I'd imagine, with, look, we've spent 5.5 seasons now with these characters. We know who these characters are. The actors know who these characters are. And we can now begin to really, as you said, get this payoff.
Yeah, and I think we've
from
worked
all the
for
work.
it.
The groundwork has been laid.
Yep, and now all the investment has been made, and now it's starting to click into place. And I think we're in a flat run for the finish now.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and make this a race to the finish. What's your number 5?
Number 5. This was tough. Because I think
tough.
there were 7 or 8 places where I could have had one. I got to say, I really loved Jorah and Dany.
Nice.
And that moment where Jorah is going to leave and she implores him to not leave but stay in her service and then go get healed. Jorah is solidly in the friend zone, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. But you could just see the look of absolute heartbreak on Dany's face, and when he said that he loved her, I tell you, it got a little dusty in the room. So to see that admission finally happen, and when she says, "I sent you away twice and you came back twice. I don't know what to do with you," essentially. Yeah, fantastic. That's my number 5.
And that was, yeah, it was a great moment. It really, really was, that he finally admitted his love for her. But I got to hand it to Emilia Clarke. She handled that scene so well because there were so many conflicting emotions going on in her face.
Yeah, because we see
there's a love there from her as well. It's just not quite the same.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be reciprocated in the way Jorah wants, but she still recognizes, and I loved it when she said, "You have to be standing by my side."
I loved it. And I think there was a realization too that I think what she kind of got from Jorah is the fact that of all the people in Westeros, Daario Naharis included, I don't think that Daenerys would feel that Daario feels as much for Daenerys as Jorah does. Because Jorah has proved it. He's proved it and then some.
Yes, very much so.
To be really loved is an amazing feeling. And I think that's part of what bowled Dany over, is that she knows that this man loves her so deeply.
Now, I got to ask this question as a non-book reader. What is your take on grayscale? Now, a lot of people have been pointing out that Shireen had been cured from grayscale, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's hope for Jorah? Do you kind of know the way grayscale works in this world, or is it still a bit of a mystery to you?
The way that I understand it is that it's a process that gradually takes you over. So it starts a little bit on your wrist and it's moving up your arm, and it's gradually going to consume both your body and your mind. And at some point, a person goes to the place where the stone men live. And I'm sure Jorah wouldn't let that come to that. Now, it sounds like Stannis, when Shireen had it, he did everything that he could, brought in maesters from all over the world to stop the grayscale and really put her into remission and keep the spreading from happening. I don't know that Jorah is going to do that. I more see Jorah going out with a sacrifice, some way that he's able to forward Dany's cause at the cost of his life. He's going to give his life for her, because I think that's the better arc. But that's how I understand grayscale to work. Am I correct, or is it different?
Well, the thing with grayscale, as it's, again, and this can be totally different in the show, because I'm not sure if they've ever addressed this. Grayscale is kind of like chicken pox. In that, if you get it as a child, you can get over it. But if you get it as an adult, it's fatal. Well, not fatal. You will turn into one of those creatures that we saw back in Valeria, right? So
maybe age plays a factor in it. Maybe Shireen had a stronger immune system.
Well, it's like a childhood disease that you can get over, but if you get it as it becomes shingles as an adult, sort of a thing.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. So I have heard some theories that maybe this Kinvara, this red priestess in Marine, might be able to help. Who knows? I don't know. This is a big mystery to me. Again, I don't know how they're treating it in the show versus they did with the book. I mean, if it's based on the book, then it's like, no, he's just a dead man. But I love the fact that Dany is imploring him to find a cure. And for whatever reason, I have this wonderful sense that if anybody can do that, just based on his sheer love of Dany and not wanting to give her up, he will find a cure.
He's a great character, and I would love to see him find some way to be able to come back from that. But this is Game of Thrones.
I know. Exactly.
Whatever you want is not what George Martin is concerned about.
Well,
So how about you? What's your number 5?
Well, that was a lovely number 5. I gotta say, Jorah and Dany. I did love that. My number 5, The King's Moot.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of wonderful things going on during this. I mean, it was almost a very casual affair for the choosing of their next king. But so many things that I loved. First of all, Theon doing the right thing.
Yep.
Absolutely love that. That, you know, he had the opportunity to stand up and maybe make the claim, and it would have been a solid claim. But he knows who the real leader in that situation is.
And you get that sense, too, that there could have been a moment when he could have tried to seize it for himself. And then when he starts to do the speech, Theon does a pretty decent speech. You remember that one he did at Winterfell?
Oh, it was horrible.
He was pretty good there. And I thought, oh, this is really great. Yara's going to be the queen.
And then it goes to Euron. And
I know.
But I loved Euron's little, you know, he definitely appealed to, he was more of the populist on that, kind of making fun of Theon and all these kinds of things. And of course, immediately we get the payoff that, yes, Euron is king. I love to see the ritual, the drowning god, and that, oh, they literally do drown the person.
They literally drown you. Now, I have to ask you about this because I'm not as up on the lore because I haven't read the books. I actually thought the priest was going to drown Euron and kill him on Yara's order.
Oh,
I thought Yara was actually gonna do a coup here. And when they were running to the water, I thought what they were going to do is they were going to make sure the body was dead, and Yara was going to take the salt throne. So that's what I thought was happening. Then when I realized, oh, she's taking the ships.
Yeah, I loved it. That was. And that was a wonderful exclamation point on the whole thing, is that she and Theon just boop abscond with the ships, which then my big question on that is, okay, where are they going? Are they going to Dany the way that Euron expressed that he wanted to do, or are they going to go north?
You know, it would
help Winterfell.
It would make sense, and I don't know the story, of course, but you know, if they were to go to Meereen, it would really take, so to speak, it would take the wind out of Yoren's sails because, sorry, Yara's already done that. And then, if he meets up with Dany and Meereen, then her forces would be able to unite with, well, the Second Sons. We've got the Unsullied, and now we've got a screaming horde of Dothraki. So I think Euron's forces would be no match.
And remember that the entire fleet in Meereen has been burned to a crisp.
Yeah.
So they could use a fleet of ships for sure.
Absolutely.
So that whole thing, I first of all, I've always been a fan of the Greyjoys. That's one of those storylines from the book that I adore, that I felt the show did not cover as adequately as I would have liked. Even with this Kingsmoot, it's a very different sort of Kingsmoot than does occur in the book, which is fine. It's a show. It's a different thing, and it was cool. It was great, and it's so full of possibility, and I have no clue what's going to happen. I cannot wait. So that's my number 5, the Kingsmoot. And of course, ending with, where are my niece and nephew? Let's go murder them.
Let's go murder them.
Wow. That just seriously, wow. That was we know nothing about Euron. So that tells you quite a bit about this guy.
And when Euron says, yeah, I killed Balon, I threw him over the bridge.
Yes, he just owned up to that.
He nothing to hide there. And because it seemed like Yara was all ready to, expose him as the murderer. And the murderer is, and he goes, yeah, it was me. I did it. You should thank me for doing it. It's kind of, in a lot of ways, everything that Euron did just took the wind out of everything that Yara was trying to do. And it was so deflating. But to see her steal the ships, loved it.
Yeah, me too. That was just, I can't wait to see where this is going to go. And should be a lot of fun. What's your number 4?
Number 4, I've never seen this happen in a character before, but I've never seen Varys look the way he looked after that confrontation with Kinvaris, the High Priestess. You see Varys in situations, he's like Littlefinger. And I think both he and Littlefinger have both in this episode gone through situations where now they're challenged and they're scared and they don't know what the hell to do. And I've never seen Varys shaken like this before. And it really gives me the sense that this woman, this Red Priestess, the follower of Rolor, there is real magic there. There is real earth, life impacting magic that these people do, and it scares the crap out of him. And I really liked I love Varys, one of my favorite characters. I think I'm actually going to dress up as Varys as for Halloween because
oh my God, that would be perfect.
I'm a bald fat guy. All I have to do is grab some curtains off the off the window. Bam, Varys. So I really liked seeing a character that I enjoyed.
Just be careful with those little birds. Really,
right?
Don't go creepy. Just keep your little birds to a minimum, and don't go all method either and lop anything.
I'll do my best. But seeing Varys shaken the way he was by the Red Woman, that's my number 4 because I think that really gave us an interesting perspective into how deeply affected Varys was by this event.
And it was interesting how much about him she knew. And she made that comment about, so long as, we both are following the same queen, so we shouldn't have any sort of a problem. But if she is the first servant of R'hllor, which even that statement makes you realize, oh, is she older than Melisandre?
Yeah, and she had the same collar around her neck that Melisandre had.
Yeah, she did. So that opens up a whole lot of questions. And we had seen her before back in Volantis. It was nice to see her again. And of course, a huge question mark as to what role she is going to play in the coming story and how she's going to play this out. I can't wait. And like you brought up, Varys being in that sort of vulnerable position, very similar to Peter Baelish in the same episode. And I really loved seeing these two puppet masters, if you will.
Yeah, perfect description.
Having their strings pulled a little bit. And I think that was very uncomfortable for both of them.
Now,
because they were certainly not in control.
Exactly. And I'm wondering too now, because we're seeing this is the second situation. I'm wondering if Tyrion empowering the Red Priestess is going to go over as well as Cersei empowering the High Sparrow. Ooh. Are these really the people that you want to be asking favors from?
That is an intriguing question. Yeah.
Not a good idea. It hasn't gone so well for Cersei with the High Sparrow.
Yeah, it didn't go so well for Stannis either.
No, it really didn't. It really didn't.
Or Shireen.
And I think this is kind of showing that Tyrion is a little bit out of his depth right now in Meereen, as much of a statesman and player and politician as he is. I don't think he's got a completely good grasp on this situation, and I think he's making some mistakes.
Well, he is attempting to be a statesman in a world that I don't think he fully understands.
Right, and it shows in his Valyrian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
King's Landing, he understands. Westeros, he understands.
That's a whole different
Meereen
fish.
and Essos, I don't think he understands. And he has not had to deal, as you just astutely pointed out, with the Faith Militant and the High Sparrow in King's Landing. He's been gone for a while.
Be curious to see what happens when Daenerys comes back and the conversation between Daenerys and Tyrion when she comes back.
Yeah,
I'm
slavery's
really
okay for 7
that.
years, and now we're in the hands of a Red Priestess. Yeah, that could be pretty interesting.
Yep.
But there is a different relationship, I believe, with the Lord of Light and Dany, and that they are most certainly being drawn like a moth to a flame. They're being drawn to Dany as well because she represents the fire, right? As much as Jon Snow may represent the ice in the saga of Ice and Fire. So
we see these dualities happening.
It could be a different situation. We'll see. I'm looking forward to this. That was actually my number 4 as well. I think we've already discussed it. What is your number 3? Putting you on the spot here.
Number 3. Well, this one I wasn't expecting, not at all. And it's the creation of the White Walkers. How these White Walkers were actually formed. I never thought we'd get this storyline, and I wouldn't have thought it would have been the Children of the Forest that actually did that. Creating a weapon to fight their fight with humans. They created the White Walkers. What a bad idea that was. Man, talk about a do-over waiting to happen.
Well, history is chock full of, men in our history at least, creating weapons that end up getting out of our own control.
It's like the Westerosi Skynet that they're constructing here,
I would say it's the Westerosi, military industrial complex.
Right.
Yes, for sure. It is absolutely an interesting I love that. That was, again, out of just, wow. I was so shocked and surprised to see this, that we actually got this, much the way I think was it last season or maybe even the season before, where we saw the Night King creating a new White Walker from one of Craster's children.
Yeah.
Even that was a, whoa, what's going on? And as a book reader, we had never seen that. We'd never seen the Night's King. We'd heard about, or Night King, I guess, as he's now referred to. That blew me away, and this blew me away as well. And we get to see my God, we got to see the creation of this. Yeah, that was and it's fascinating to me that the Children of the Forest obviously have swapped their allegiance.
Yep.
You know, yeah, that they may have created this to try to deal with men due to deforestation, but now they are certainly in the favor of men, it seems, in trying to fight back this threat as well. So, I'm curious how they thought about what kind of happened with the first war that happened with all this and the wall. Did the creation of the wall ease everything up? I mean, how did this? Oh my God, it opens so many questions.
It really does. Now, one of the questions that I have too is, if the Children of the Forest created the White Walkers, who created the Three-Eyed Raven? Where does that side of the equation, come from? And then I started to think, well, we're getting the origin story of where the White Walkers come from. And then when Arya is training with Jaqen in the Hall of Faces, we get a bit of dialogue about the creation of
Bravos.
Bravos, and how the Faceless Men came to be. So it seemed like we were getting a lot of origin story in this episode.
Which is really surprising considering it's midway through season 6.
Yeah. And we also get
awesome
origin stories of, well, someone who we will have to be talking about.
Hodor, for sure. But even this season, we're finally seeing, really all thanks to Bran and the Three-Eyed Raven and the Green Seer, we're getting a lot of information about the past that we never had before, whether it was Ned and the Tower of Joy and all these kinds of things. This has really been a season of revelation.
It has been. And I think it's been a surprise to us as well, because we're thinking that we're going to see the things that are happening in the present moving forward. And I know from the promotional shots, we did have a sense that the Tower of Joy sequence was going to be happening, but I didn't think that we'd be getting as much backstory and as much of the origin story as we're getting. And it's such a bonus.
Well, yeah. And for those of us who are book readers with the Tower of Joy, we were really all pissed off because they pulled back right when we really wanted the information that they're about ready to give. But that's okay. I am a patient man, and I'm happy to have things doled out.
You will be rewarded.
Exactly. I believe that. I really do believe that. Well, my number 3 does tie into what we're talking about somewhat. Arya's first mission.
Oh, yes.
I did love all of the Arya scenes on this. You brought up the fact that we learn a little bit about the free city of Bravos, the creation of that, and the first Faceless Men. But what I really enjoyed about this first mission is that it is obviously a test. Another test. I don't think this is a real first mission. I think this was still a test as to whether or not she really is no one. By sending her to kill the actress of somebody who's in a play of the very story in which she has lived.
Yes.
Must absolutely press every one of her buttons in terms of, are you Arya Stark or are you no one?
To think too that going back to the end of the first season, episode 9, here she's watching a play with her father being beheaded. Yes. When she saw the actual event. She was there with, she was there with, was it Yori? Was it Yori?
Oh my God, what was his name? No, that wasn't his name, but I can't remember what it is right now. But yeah, he had his head cleaved. That was really sad. I don't remember what his name is at the moment. My apologies. I'm sure many people will be sending us emails on that one. God damn, what was his name? Now it's going to drive me nuts.
It'll come back.
But not only that, but the what really struck me with that whole scene was that her father was being portrayed as the traditional Shakespearean fool.
Yeah, a real kind of bumbling doofus.
And we all kind of laughed when he did die first season that Ned Stark was not a bright man. He did not know how to play the game. He was not playing the game, and he died because of it. Yet at the same time, we also always recognize the fact that, well, he was actually the noble one.
He was the honest one. He was the one who held law and justice and order above all, and was recognized for it, and his sense
and was killed for it.
Yeah.
And we view him as the idiot because of it, which is atrocious. That is an abomination of the way nobility should be viewed. Yet, unfortunately, in our society and in this society of Game of Thrones, no good deed goes unpunished. And for her to have to be witness to that, that has got to be a test of whether or not she is Arya.
I wonder too, now we've, in these last 3 episodes, we've seen 2 different perspectives of Ned's character, with the fight at the Tower of Joy.
Yes.
We see that Ned was going to be killed, but the lore and the mythology was that he had defeated, was it Sir Arthur Dayne?
Yes, Sir Arthur Dayne.
Yeah. Yes. So according to the story, it was him who killed Arthur Dayne. Now we're seeing Ned portrayed in a different way. So it's interesting how you can take one character, and then depending on which side you're on, the mythology of that character can go either way.
Well, and what was great about the scene was also that we get to see how the general population views this entire mess that's going on.
And when we see everybody laughing at the bumbling Ned Stark, except for Arya.
Yes. Well, and also, mind you, this is a different continent as well. This is not even their battle. So they are seeing this in a very different light. And, Joffrey comes off as sympathetic. Yeah. Cersei comes off as sympathetic. Even the beheading of Ned Stark came off as an accident. So it's like a game of telephone, right? The actual facts get changed over time. Get changed person by person, and move it over time, and then move it over to another continent, and of course move it into the general population that maybe is not as privy to all of the specifics as the royalty would be, or in our case, the TV viewers would be, and we see an amazing bastardization of the very story that we've been watching unfold in front of our eyes. And I thought that was just such an incredible way of depicting all of this.
Do you think Arya is really going to be able to continue with her training? Do you see her being able to fully engage and become a faceless person?
My initial reaction is no. But then I've been hearing some fascinating theories, some of which our listeners have been laying out to me, and I really dig. And one of those is, hold on to your horses for this one.
I'm sitting down.
Arya is going to have to, is theory, pure theory. This is not a spoiler in any way. I don't know. Arya is going to have to, as a faceless man, going to have to kill a Stark.
Oh.
Will she be able to do that?
Wow.
So that will be the ultimate test, right? Is she a faceless man, or is she still Arya Stark?
Now, I kind of think her training can't continue much longer. The feeling that
I don't think so either. No.
The feeling I get is that if she does that, then she stops being the character that everybody loves, and then her story arc comes to a halt. Because we look at Jaqen. Jaqen's an interesting character, and looking at the faceless men, it's an interesting culture, and I like to learn more about it. But Jaqen really has no story because he is no one. And if we spent too much time with him, I think he would really cease to be interesting.
Agreed. No,
and I don't think we can do that with Arya. I think
I don't think she will.
It's her rage and passion and revenge that propels her character. And if she becomes faceless, she loses all that.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's a little thing that I'm really hoping for Arya, and not just Arya, but the Hound.
Oh yeah, I so hope the Hound is still alive.
I am 98% in the camp of Sandor Clegane is still alive.
Really? You're that confident?
Yes, I am. My predictions are always pure crap. So
I hope you're. I so
take
hope
that
you're
with
right.
you will. But I want to see a situation where either Arya or the Hound has to save one or the other.
Oh, I see.
And I am so holding out for the notion of Clegane Bowl 2016. Look, the Hound existed for one reason, and that was to take out his brother. we know Gregor Clegane is still alive, and I want to see Sandor take him out. I mean, that was his entire purpose for existence. And I do believe the Hound is dead, but I think Sandor Clegane lives. And regardless of Clegane Bowl, I really want to see Arya and Sandor somehow or another. One has to save the other. I don't know. Something storytelling. I think just the basics of storytelling makes me want that to happen.
I think the Hound had such a compelling, interesting story, and the character arc for him was really good.
It was.
And I always like the notion that when we don't see a death on screen, it leaves the possibility that they might be alive. Except now for Stannis. Now we've got to write Stannis off.
Yeah, that's done.
I was hoping Stannis was still alive, but I tell you, if the Hound is still alive and is able to come back in some form or fashion, yeah, I would just probably leap out of my chair and dance around the room.
As a character, the Hound was a complete bastard, but I loved that character. I'm a big fan of the nuanced character, right? The character with a lot of flaws, yet there's still some grain of decency within them. Jaime Lannister is a great example.
Yep. Take Mal from Firefly.
Oh, very well, but even he was made much more likable than say the Hound. He is or Jaime Lannister.
Yeah, true. And because Jaime started off with that arc where everybody hated him, and then we have the empathy and we get to know him and we get to know his story. And yeah, I think it's nice when we can see a character that's got all these shades and all these facets and all this really great curvature in the storyline.
Well, and it's dare I say, it just feels more realistic when you have a character that's very gray versus the black and white. The black and white's boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. The gray is fascinating. And Sandor is the perfect example for me of somebody who's so fascinating because he's a dick in so many different ways. In so many different ways you look at it, he's an asshole. But there's something likable about the guy. He was good to Arya.
He was. And I think he was good to Sansa as well.
Yes.
I think when you strip this person down and take them down to the very essence, they're a good person. And when he did that scene when he was describing to Arya how the mountain pushed his face into a fire, you see him in a really vulnerable state. Yeah. You could see him sort of shrunken over and his shoulders are down, and he's very weak and vulnerable at that point, and it made the character so much more endearing.
And I hate that I can't remember his name right now, the actor's name, because he's
Rory.
It is Rory.
Rory
McCann.
Yes.
Might be. We'll go with that. Why not?
You'll get the hate mail, so I don't have to worry about it.
This is true. Jason will get it now. Did you ever see Hot Fuzz? Simon Pegg and
I
Nick
never
Frost?
did. I heard it's really good, but I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, he's in it.
Oh, is he?
And he plays somebody with an almost Hodor bent to him.
Wow.
He only says one thing. Nop.
Wow.
Nop.
Now I have to go watch this.
Eventually he does say one other thing, but ultimately it's Nop. And that's him. That's the Hound. That's my number 3, Arya's first mission. Let's keep moving on. What is your number 2?
Sansa defying Baelish.
Wow, you and I are right on track. That's my number 2 as well.
So good. And I think about it. You think about the first 3 seasons where Sansa is a little girl and she's naive and she's a bit dopey and she's in love with Joffrey until he starts to, torment and terrorize her. And to see what she's gone through after her experience, this horrific experience with Ramsay, talk about being, it's like Bill Paxton said in that movie, Edge of Tomorrow, you will be baptized in this fiery crucible. And she's come out the other end, I think, a real warrior and I think a real potential military mind and a statesperson. And I loved how when she had the opportunity to kill Baelish, she didn't do it, but she threatened him. And I love how she said, you either let this happen and that makes you my enemy, or you let it happen because you didn't know and that makes you an idiot. And to see Sansa coming into her power like this, and to see Baelish recoil, just like we talked about with Varys kind of recoiling at the Red Queen, to see Baelish recoiling at the possibility that Brienne just might kill him, fantastic. Love seeing Sansa come into her power.
Well, at the beginning of this episode, I did talk about secondary characters who have been coming into their own. That is specifically what I was thinking about, was of course, Sansa. And actually, the clip that I played at the very beginning of this episode, which you did not hear, is actually that same clip of her saying, if you didn't know, you're an idiot. If you did, you're my enemy. Great line. I do love the command that she has taken over herself, the agency of her own fate, if you will. It has made her such an incredibly strong and wonderful character to be able to rally behind. So much of this was brought up even in the last episode when she and John were chatting, where she says, "Oh, come on, I was awful," and she was at the beginning of this series. She was just a pompous little girl that thought she knew everything, and she understood the way the world worked, and she was completely clueless as to the way things worked. And unfortunately now, through massive trial by fire, she is completely coming into her own. And I love it. Every single moment of her maturization, her, as you said, leadership abilities of being able to be a military leader kind of a thing. It's just on full display. And at the same time, she is still remaining true to who she is as a character, as evidenced in this episode when she and John this wonderful Starkwear. And I loved all of that. Yeah. That she, when we first met her, she's doing the needlepoint thing with whatever the woman was that was, I can't even remember.
Old Nan?
So long ago. Not old. No, it wasn't Old Nan. There was another woman that took care of them. I don't remember. Septa Mordain. That was her name.
Right. I remember her.
Sitting there doing her needlepoint, and Arya was so bad at it, and she would go running off. But Sansa and Jane Poole, her friend, they'd sit there and do this and make fun of Arya and make fun of everybody else who wasn't cool and neato like they were. And here is this now battle-hardened woman who's still putting that into play and making a kick-ass Starkwear outfit for both herself and Jon Snow. And I loved all the furs going on with that. They looked amazing. And it's just, to me, that was perfect Sansa.
And it really represented, too, her commitment to family. And
yes,
it embodied everything that she stands for. Instead of, you could say, what were you doing? You're spending your time sewing. Don't you have more important things to do? No, I'm making you something with the Stark crest on it. So this way you will feel confident and your foes will know who you are. So she's taking that skill and she's doing it in such a way that it's almost like she's decorating her troops.
Yeah.
And I really like that. There's also something, and you and I were talking before we started to record about vocalization, because you're studying vocalization. And one of the things that I've noticed about Sansa is the quality of her voice has changed. She had a bit of a higher register, but now in this season, when I listen to her talk, she's pulling more from her diaphragm, her chest. She's speaking like a more mature woman. And I hear her voice. Yeah. And I hear her voice going lower. And that gives me the sense that, she's gotten older, but that also gives that sense that she's really matured. She's not the squeaky teen that she used to be.
No,
now she's a woman.
Yes. And her decisions, not only her voice, but her decisions are reflecting that. Everything she's doing is the decision of somebody who is very much in command of her own destiny.
And the person that I was hoping would be still alive, when you're talking about Sandor being alive, we find out that the Blackfish is still alive.
Yes!
Who we haven't seen since the Red Wedding.
God, I was so happy to hear him brought up, to hear the Tullys brought up. And here's the other thing that Sansa did was turn down the help from the Vale. Now, she knows specifically that she needs extra troops. This should have been a godsend to her. But I think she is so adamant about not accepting any help from Littlefinger at this point, because I think she does know that his motives are questionable, that she is going to rebuke that. Yet, at the same time, she still lies to Jon about that meeting.
And that's a good question. Why does she leave that piece of information out? And I guess she's not going to bring that to Jon if she doesn't trust Littlefinger herself, then why would she want to say, "Hey, I don't like this guy, but he's got an army that we can use"?
Well, I'm wondering about that
know.
as well. I mean,
at some point, I can see there is going to be a need for that army. I can see them.
no, I really was looking forward to that army. I thought that's what was going to help them take back Winterfell. I was a little surprised to see her rebuke that. Other than this, maybe it's a pride thing. Maybe it's a, I am so strong at this moment, I can reject you and what you're offering me because I don't trust you anymore. I don't quite understand that, but at the same time, oddly enough, her lying to Jon about it made me feel like she's still keeping it in her pocket, you know?
I wonder about this. Okay, let me bounce an idea off you. So she's shut down Varys. She shut down Baelish completely. Now, I think in the response that we see from Baelish, I don't think that he really wanted what happened to Sansa to happen, and I think he didn't know. I think he genuinely was surprised by this.
I think he may be in the idiot category on this
I think
one,
he was.
which is fascinating considering, as we've talked about earlier in this episode,
Yeah.
he's the ultimate, the chess master.
He is.
He's the one that's been setting up all these pieces, and here he has been duped. That's shocking.
That's information he didn't have. So I think what's going to happen here, because we've never really seen a significant arc from Peter Baelish, and I wonder if this might be the point where we see that arc start to happen, where when Sansa's, threatening to kill him, he's terrified. I think he still cares for her deeply, and I would bet dollars to donuts, I'm laying it on the line here, fist on the table, I think at some point we're going to see a turn in Baelish's character. He's going to use these troops when Sansa needs them the most. They're going to be in a dire situation, and I wouldn't be surprised if Baelish comes to the rescue.
I would really like that.
Because then that gives his character a really interesting arc.
Yeah.
Because right now, when you think of Baelish, conniving, scheming, manipulative, we don't really see the good side of him yet.
Self-serving.
So wouldn't that be interesting if he was to put his interests aside for the girl that he cares so much about? Because I think he really does love Sansa.
See, the thing that gets so muddy about his love of Sansa, though, is of course that it's his love of Cat.
Is it really? Now he certainly did love Cat. And is he sort of in a creepy kind of way loving Cat through Sansa, which is
that has been the undertone that has existed throughout this entire thing, especially when you go back to that kiss that they shared in the snow back at the Eyrie. That's where it does get a little icky, and you just don't know. And this is the beauty that is Peter Baelish, because we never know what's actually going on with him. He is not a straight shooter. He is somebody that always has something up his sleeve. So I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks, I love what you're saying, that maybe he'll show up in the nick of time to help save the situation or whatnot. I love that. Is it self-serving? It could be. He's a giant wild card.
And I think he needs a selfless act. If he's going to complete his arc correctly, or in the way that I would like to see, and I'm just kind of making this up as I go, I would really like to see him do something for someone else that isn't slathered in ulterior motives. To see him have one selfless gesture, which could cost him his life.
Well, I was going to say it would have to mean his death.
Yeah.
If he allows himself to die to save Sansa, then everything we've said is moot, and he's a great guy. I mean, right. But that's the beauty of this story, right? Is people have the opportunities to do the right thing, and we've seen this time and time again, that people do the wrong thing for the wrong reason over and over and over again. I will bring this up. I think I brought it up last episode, but I do believe it needs to be the mantra of this show. As Ramsay Snow once said, if you think this has a happy ending, you haven't been paying attention. So,
and I like when Tyrion says to, when he says to Oberyn, if you're looking for justice, you've come to the wrong place.
Yes, exactly. So it's I think our society, our culture, our history of storytelling has led us to this feeling of no, good things happen to good people, bad things happen to bad people. George R. R. Martin has decided to put this completely on end and make you think, no, horrible things happen to good people and really good things happen to bad people. And, life is fucked up. So in this story, I don't discount anything. I'm actually more surprised when something good happens from a good act.
Because then it's really earned. And I think we had to have all those crosses, those Starks almost meeting but not meeting, to make that final meeting with Jon and Sansa so powerful.
And how rewarding was that when it's even the two characters who actually didn't give a fuck about each other?
Yeah.
If it was Bran and Jon, oh my God, that would be amazing. If it was Arya and Jon, oh my God, even better. But that didn't happen.
Yeah.
It's Sansa and Jon, the one person he didn't care about, and she didn't care about him. She hated him.
But they've built up enough. They've got enough in the tank. When it came time to fire that particular thruster, boy, was it there.
Bingo. Exactly. And that's
so what's your number 2?
Great story. Sansa and Littlefinger. What's your number 1?
We got the same thing, didn't we?
Yeah. We're right on track with one another. Okay. We don't need to say what's our number 1 because I think we all know exactly what's our number 1. Mine goes.
What are you talking about, Willis? So how did you feel when you watched this? When you saw this starting to play out? What was your sense here?
Okay, first of all, my number 1 is actually all of the Bran scenes because I felt that was. I also included the whole thing with the White Walkers and.
Oh, okay.
But even going back to being seen by the White Walkers in the mark left by him, the trace. I mean, all of that was. Oh, how do I put this? Amazing storytelling. In the sense of that it was you felt a real sense of dread. You felt a sense of urgency. It was exciting. It was, oh my God, it was just so much potential that we've been building up for 5.5 seasons to suddenly just have this spill over in an almost an orgy of violence and excitement and just emotion, but anchored completely by Christian Narn, Hodor.
Really was. And that,
oh my God,
that sense of terror that you talked about when Bran he's walking through this army of the dead, confident that he can't be seen. Then when they see him, oh damn!
If you didn't get goosebumps, there's something wrong with you. That was incredible.
You are so screwed, son.
Yes, that was just amazing. And a coworker of mine, she may be listening to this. I'm not sure. Cheryl. She brought up a good point. And even I was like, wait, what's going on here? When the child of the forest, Leaf, I guess her name was, where she suddenly produces a ball, like basically a grenade.
Yeah,
that
it looked like a plasma grenade from Halo.
Yes. Thank you that you said it. So we were laughing. Oh, wait, when did they cross genres? And we're suddenly in a sci-fi space movie.
I got these from Master Chief.
Well, I'm a PS4 guy. I'm not a Xbox, so I've never played Halo.
No.
But it did have this like Guardians of the Galaxy sort of, or thermal detonator sort of a quality that I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? How do they suddenly have this ball of doom? What's going on here? But I loved it.
And where can I get 40 or 50 more of those?
Oh my God. It was just so incredible, this entire sequence. But we're of course bearing the lead because we don't want to talk about it. That's the death of Hodor.
Man. So this is the part that I think was kind of spoiled for me. I was listening to another Game of Thrones podcast and they were talking about the door and what could the door mean? And invariably it came up to Hodor. And
really?
Yeah. And I don't think they knew, and I won't say which podcast it was because I really enjoyed listening to them. It wasn't Game of Microphones. It was another podcast. And
I'd give kudos to whoever did that.
They sussed it out. They figured it out because
there is no clue in the books. Just so you know, this is not.
Didn't get that. So
no, absolutely not.
When they said the door, they were starting. Is this something to do with Hodor? I don't know. And then we get that, and I think that really played out so tragically. But and we'll see some of this in the feedback because there's a lot of feedback about it.
Oh, yeah. That's the majority of the feedback.
But it opens up the whole notion of these time travel paradoxes, which gives me a headache every time. I just don't.
It's rough. Yeah.
Yeah. It's always very confusing for me. Now, do you get a sense that this could be something where Hodor knew what was going to be happening?
Okay. So we have a lot of questions in our feedback about.
Yeah.
Everybody's confused. Everybody's confused. I don't think anybody has actually sussed out exactly how this works. How did this work? Bran is still firmly in the past, yet he's able to warg into Hodor in the present.
He's able to do two things at once.
He's able to do two things at once, which maybe when you're younger you can do that, but as you get older, you most certainly cannot do that.
Not as long, anyway.
Not as
I could do it for a little while, but
yeah, maybe a little bit. Yeah,
I don't have the endurance I used to have.
So yes, the big question is: was Hodor aware? Okay, so when Hodor had his seizure in the past and became Hodor, if you will, when Willis became Hodor, did he know what was happening in the present? And at that point, has he lived his entire existence knowing what his fate would be? And if that is the case, did he take Bran there knowing precisely what was going to happen?
I don't think so. Personally, I don't think so. But there are people who are much smarter with the whole time travel thing than I am, because it just gives me kind of a headache to think about it. But it would make me think that in the past, when Willis collapses, has the seizure, and turns into Hodor, I don't think he knows what's coming later on in his life. And I don't think that he understands that his life now is going to be lived to a certain point. I don't think he knows that he's going to be dying outside the door to the tree. I don't think he knows that. What do you think? Do you think he's aware of that, or?
No, I don't know. I want to say no. My gut instinct is to say no.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same place, because he seems like somebody who's just trapped in this sense of this trauma. And if the word Hodor is the only thing that he can verbalize, is he able to comprehend any sense of time forward or past, or is he?
But we know that he has something going on in him. I mean, when he and Bran were just talking about this recently, a couple episodes back, or a few episodes back, where Bran said, he was asking him some questions, and there definitely seemed to be an understanding of what Bran was saying.
Do you think so, or do you think people were kind of overlaying or maybe extrapolating on top of that?
No, it could be. He did know. I think he did know, but I don't. As far as his ultimate fate, oh my God, I'm not sure. I mean, but just there's so much to unpack in this scene, and I feel like we could spend an hour going over every little moment and what it all meant. I mean, like we already mentioned, I'm impressed that Bran could do what he was able to do in the way that he did it. I mean, again, warging into somebody in the present while you're currently in the past, yet visualizing what's happening. So the other issue is, how much of this two-way street to the past does Bran have when he is warging, with the tree, with the weirwoods? We've already seen this happen with Ned Stark at the Tower of Joy. We then got to see a little snippet of that with the White Walkers. How do I put this? We are left to extrapolate a lot of information with limited information.
Yep. And I think there's a lot of interesting speculation that's going on. I really dug when the point where Bran is back in Winterfell in the past, and at the point where the Night King kills the three-eyed raven, and then you see it burst into smoke. Kind of reminds me of Neo in the Matrix.
For sure.
They say if you die in the mind can't survive, or body can't survive without the mind. I thought, that kind of feels like a Matrix moment to me.
Well, and of course, why did Bran not then go back to the present? Is he losing the ability to control his ability to go back and forth?
Well, there was some point where either Jojen or Mira said, if you spend too much time in a direwolf, you'll lose your ability to come back to the present. Whether that's
and the
true.
Green Seer said, the Three-Eyed Raven said that as well. If you spend too much time there, you will drown.
Yeah.
So is he losing that ability? I mean, again, we could spend a lot of time unpacking this one scene, and there was so much going on. But man, the loss of Bran's faithful, I want to say companion, but I mean faithful horse or whatever. Now, I'm really grateful. I got to say this. There was a theory running around for a while about Hodor. The reason why Hodor is Hodor was that he was a warg and he warged into a horse, and the horse ended up dying while he was still in there, and therefore the horse was named Hodor, and therefore that's why he was always who he was. I'm so glad that's not the case.
Neat idea, but this one I like a lot more.
No, I like this one a lot more. And it's just, it begs so many questions as to what this full extent of this particular ability is, what the extent of this warging is.
Another sad part too, we lost Summer. I was so sad.
For fuck's sake.
Another direwolf.
upsetting.
Oh, man.
You know, the image I was going to use for this podcast was actually I found a great image online of just a close-up of Summer's face.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
I skipped it. I'm going for, any of you, or you're probably already seen the image. It's the one of Tormund looking at Brienne, and Brienne
With
looking
that big
disgusted.
dopey grin.
And I will let the listeners know the reason why I chose that. This is such a dark and unsettling episode. I wanted to have an image that was a little more light and fun.
Yeah.
A little dichotomy there.
Levity moments in Game of Thrones are so rare. I think we kind of have to capitalize on them. But that look was precious.
I loved it. I loved it so much.
He's looking at her. She looks back, and he just gives this goofy smile.
Yeah. God, I loved it so much.
That was good.
So, I don't know. I wish I had more insight for our listeners regarding the Hodor situation. I don't know what to make with it. I mean, honestly, it is a time travel paradox. We've got warging. We've got yelling into the past. We've got some two-way communication into the past, but we also have Bran unable to get out of it in the present. We have Hodor having a seizure. Hold the door, hold the door, hold the door, Hodor. Oh my God.
Do you think at some point we're going to see, and I don't even like saying the words, are we going to see a Hodor White Walker?
I hope not.
I hope not too.
I hope not.
I just don't need to see that.
Shit.
I don't need to see that.
Don't need to see it at all. Yeah, that was rough. That was really, really rough. So, God, rest in peace, Hodor. I don't want to see him show up again. Great character. Those little Funko Pop figures?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of those. I only have 2 Game of Thrones. One, actually, I confiscated from my daughter because my mother-in-law, who did not realize what it was from, about 3 years ago, for my 10-year-old daughter, got one of those for like her Easter basket, and it was Easter. My God, I can't speak. Easter basket. It was Tyrion Lannister, and I'm like, no. She doesn't even know who that is. I'm taking that.
I'm going to take this away from you. You're not ready for a Tyrion Lannister.
Exactly. But the only one I've purchased was Hodor.
Ah, good choice.
I love Hodor. I have always loved Hodor. I still love Hodor. So his passing was difficult and sad. It was noble. It was great. I felt for a character that had one line of dialogue, he captured all of our hearts, and I'm very pleased that he got the send off that he did.
And what a heroic ending too.
Yes.
This wasn't an instance where he gets taken out by a stray bolt or killed.
No.
He gave his life to make sure that Bran lived. He had the most heroic exit that I think any character could.
And and on top of that, it's like, really, Bran, this is now getting into Saving Private Ryan territory, right? Oh. Earn this. And now I have to say with Bran, dude, earn this.
Well, he's got the power to. He's got the power to, because it looks like he's got more power than the Three-Eyed Raven. Even though he doesn't have the level of training that he was hoping to have.
Well, here's the issue that I'm worried about with that, though, is that, okay, the three-eyed raven had the power. Raven. Go, three-eyed power raven. No. He had the power, but maybe he didn't utilize it because he was mature enough not to. My concern is that is Bran mature enough, and does he understand the extent of his power that he's going to be able to wield it properly?
Well,
because, as Spider-Man would say, with great power comes great responsibility.
That's a good point. And does Bran even know the full extent? Do we know the full extent of his powers? Because we didn't know this week that he was able to time travel and warg something in time travel at the same time.
We have no clue of the extent of his powers. I don't think he has any knowledge of the extent of his powers, and I can't wait to see how that's going to play itself out. Obviously, I mean, I'm saying obviously because it's a hopeful obvious that he's going to have a major role to play in the upcoming war or whatever it is that's going to happen in the series.
Well, it sounds to me like he's obviously at some point going to have to warg into one of the dragons. Ooh. I wonder if he could he warg multiple animals simultaneously?
Okay. So direwolves. Let's back up here for a second. How many direwolves are left?
Well, I think how do you take that? We have Nymeria, who was Arya's.
Yep.
And still I think we have Ghost, who's John's. So isn't that the extent of it? We've lost Lady.
Now, Lady was the first to go. Now we just lost Summer for sure. I'm still holding out hope that was not Shaggy Dog that we saw. I still believe in the Umber conspiracy and
Grey Wind.
Grey Wind is very dead.
Yeah. You know, if Shaggy Dog's alive, I think that it would be great. And if it meant the sacrifice of Osha in order to be able to pull that coup off, great. They just don't seem to have any traction in that direction yet. Or maybe they're saving that particular thread of the story for something that happens a little bit later in the future. Would be great to see the Umbers were actually on the Stark side all the time. I hope so.
Yes. We'll see. Okay, so that's our top 5. Oh my God, we have really done this to death. Do you have any notes that you want to bring up? Something we did not cover? There are a couple of things.
Let's see. I think it was interesting when we talk about I don't think I got that. We're talking about the Dead Army, talking about Hodor. Don't want to see Hodor as a White Walker.
No.
The only thing we didn't talk about was that close-up shot of the wiener. So,
so King Joffrey has 2 warts on his dick. Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's the other thing that people are going to have a lot of questions about. It just narrowly escaped being in my top 5. The close-up wiener shot. So,
wow, yeah, that did not even cross my mind. I think I tried to push that out of my mind as quickly as I could.
There you go. There's something to think about for you.
Thank you. Great. Thanks, Ram. Really. The only other thing I have is actually Dolores said, and I really adored his brief little moment of, well, I'm not Lord Commander. Oh, close the gates.
I guess I am.
Yeah, I just got a kick out of that, and that's it. That's all I have for my notes.
I think Ed's going to be a bit of a reluctant leader because it seems like a job that he really doesn't want, but I think he's going to find that he's the most capable man for the job.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, before we get into any kind of news or letters, before we get into any of that, real quickly, just want to bring up a few little theory items. I'm not going to get into too much detail. You are not a book reader, so I don't want to spoil too much for you.
Don't spoil me, bro.
Well, there are a couple little things. So, first of all, by the way, if you are totally averse to this, skip forward, and you will go to news about Game of Thrones, and that is before we get to our Ravens calls. First thing, boy, it looks really difficult for Mira to drag Bran around. I don't know how the hell she's going to do that without Hodor. And this is going to be more for book readers. You're going to understand what I'm going to say. I'm going to try to be relatively vague here. This opens the door for Cold Hands in a big way. So maybe Cold Hands can help Bran lead them. Elsewhere,
Because it's really down to just the two of them now. It's just
Yes.
Bran and Mira.
Yes, it is. There's another character that led them to the Green Seer, who may be Benjen Stark.
Oh, Benjen.
We don't know, but he's probably also a White Walker.
Oh, wow.
But he rides a fucking elk.
What?
And it's really cool.
Nice.
So I've really been waiting for the cold hands. This could open the door. The other thing, Kinara, the Red Priestess, may be replacing a character by the name of Benero, who is a Red Priest, who could actually create flames and really foretell the future in a very good way. So there's a possibility that she may be taking over his place, and that could be really interesting. And that is actually all I'm going to say on theories. I'm going to leave it at that.
Now, is Kinvaris showing up in the books, or is she a show creation?
Show creation.
I see.
Yeah. All right. All of that said, wow, we covered a lot of stuff. Rem, that was great. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll come back with news about Game of Thrones, and then we'll take all of our listener feedback. So, quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back, and it is now time to go ahead and chat about some news about Game of Thrones, things that have come out over the week. Rem, elucidate us.
Oh, yes. Well, it appears that piracy rears its ugly head again. We get this from winteriscoming.net. Turns out last week HBO appeared to have successfully shut down a Spanish YouTuber. Apparently, they were describing the plots of each of the season 6 episodes before they aired. Boom. And I know, terrible. Looked like the network had won the piracy war once and for all until last night. And apparently, HBO Nordic apparently uploaded and made this Sunday's available, like the episode that we just watched, The Door. They made it available hours earlier. And according to a Reddit user who found it earlier on, they said, hey, it's online right now if you want to watch it, but they might remove it soon. Somebody probably messed up by putting it up there. And it's one of those instances where HBO has been really trying to nail down the piracy of Game of Thrones, because it is the most torrented program out there. And as much as they try, there always seems to be the opportunity for somebody with a digital copy to get that out there. And I think at some point they might have to realize that when you're dealing with digital content, it might be impossible to kind of lock it down completely.
And I've been really praising HBO this year for doing just that.
Yeah,
it seems like they've really been doing a great job of it, but can't keep it on and everything. That's
they've done a better job, but I think as far as 100% containment, I don't know that that's ever going to happen.
Well, and we even have a letter. One of our listeners, a specific letter from one of our listeners says, or voicemail, excuse me, actually says that they got it early. I got this voicemail before the show even aired.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about a spoiler alert there, huh?
I ignored it.
Better. I just turn off all of my social media. I don't want to know it.
So
until, I just go on sort of a social media blackout.
6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I shut down.
Yep. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Well, we've been hearing rumors too about a possible spin-off of Game of Thrones. And this comes from EW.com. And as much as we'd like the idea, well, Kit Harington has not been approached about a potential spin-off. And apparently there's been some talk in the UK about it. And Kit Harington has been thought to entering preliminary discussions about an as yet unannounced Thrones sequel series. But the reps for the show and Kit Harington say that there is zero truth to this. Maybe we can finish this show first. I kind of think that would be a good idea.
Yeah, no kidding.
HBO.
I'm assuming he'll be dead by the end of this.
Could be. Come on. Never know. Nothing to put a sequel to with him. So HBO has been pretty adamant that there's no current Thrones spinoff or a prequel planned, but it could eventually change with the just announced departure of top programming executive Michael Lombardo. He told EW a firm no when he was asked about a spinoff last month. And he went on to say, quote, if this was to happen, it would have to come from showrunners David Benioff and Dan Weiss, who were feeling really something strong about this, or George Martin, really feeling that it is the right thing to do. He said, not knowing how this particular story ends, I don't know. There are plenty of characters, secondary characters who you could build a world around, and we're going to be drawn to a strong creative vision, but we're not going to do that unless we feel the passion. So the possibility of doing either a sequel, a prequel to Game of Thrones could have some possibilities, but hopefully they're going to stick to that creative vision and not do it unless the story really calls for it.
I want to see the Gendry Chronicles.
Oh, wouldn't
he's
that be
out
something?
out there rowing his boat,
Still rowing his little boat.
Various adventures as he rows his little dinghy around.
Do you think Gendry is going to show up again at some point?
No, I think that's done. Hot Pie. I want to see the Hot Pie Chronicles.
The Hot Pie Chronicles. And you know who I could see less of? I could see a lot less of Gilly.
Oh,
I gotta tell you, I could do without Gilly because right now she's sort of like season 6 version of Shay. And
interesting.
I really didn't enjoy Shay because I found in those particular characters, they were really only around to be sounding boards for Tyrion and Sam now respectively. So like Sam, like what he's doing, but I don't know that Gilly really brings enough as a character to warrant the screen time that she's going to get.
Well, maybe Shay has gone back to her more adult film.
Perhaps.
Roots that she came from.
Who knows?
Very well. Thank you very much for that news. It's and as I've said before, HBO is keeping a really tight thing on everything. So the news every week has been a little anemic, quite frankly, and I'm happy about that because I want HBO to keep that tight.
Yeah, and I like to be surprised when things happen.
But look over the horizon. See what's coming?
Good God.
Ravens. So we have a lot of feedback. Of course, we had to cut out a lot of things because, well, we were all kind of saying the same thing. Hodor. But first we begin with our feedback from Facebook. Rem, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Yeah, Olivia Deck wrote in and said, why can't Bran listen to adults? Don't climb on the tower, Bran. Don't go into the weirwood. Not alone, Bran. The loss of Summer and Hodor was a real kick in the feels.
Michael Harding says, the whites are scary as hell. They make the zombies on The Walking Dead seem like pests. Brienne and Tormund love the subtle interactions between the two of them in the background of the scenes. Sansa doesn't trust the Peter ever. Another good episode.
Yeah.
Good episode? Okay, yeah, good.
And Jamie Diggs said, damn, that ending. So many feels. Hold the door. This is going to stay with me for a while. So I understand this correctly. Hodor/Willis knew this was going to end the whole time? Fuck.
Yeah.
So did we get any clarity on that? We don't really know.
No,
we don't really know, do we?
We really don't know. No. I don't know. Maybe you do.
Maybe at some point in the future.
Maybe. Rob. He actually left a couple of different messages on our Facebook page, but this one was the first one. For fuck's sake. And then he's got the picture of a comic book guy.
Worst
episode ever. Yeah. Nice. So he also has another one with the shame septa saying shame. He just didn't like this episode. I don't know what to make of it, if he didn't like it because he was upset about Hodor dying or if he's being a fucking troll because this was a great episode. Sorry, Rob Cubed, but really, come on.
I think Rob is probably curled up in the corner sucking his thumb like most of us.
Perhaps.
And probably like me, needed a hug after the episode. Yep. So there you go, Rob. Big hug for you. Amanda Chambers wrote in and said, maybe I'm missing something, but if the children were the one who created the White Walkers to kill off men, why can't they just call them off? Did they just decide to go rogue? Why would they be trying to kill the children? WTF? Also, what we don't know is usually what gets us killed. That's a quote from Peter Baelish, who really wrote that letter. Come and see. Come and see. Now, what do you think? It had to be Ramsay. Who else could have written that letter?
What, the letter to Jon Snow?
Yeah.
That's really? Ramsay, absolutely. As far as the children creating the White Walkers and then they can't call them off, obviously you don't have children. If you think you have control over them as they get older, oh, please.
I've created these things and now I can't control them.
Ask Oppenheimer about that one. Yeah. All right. Next one's from Kristen Hallberg. After talking with my cousin a bit, he has the idea that if Bran warged into Hodor of the past to help Bran in the future, then Hodor essentially died then and has been an empty vessel since until his endgame is completed in the future. So when a few weeks ago when Bran asked him about the fact that he used to speak and Hodor got really sad about why he didn't anymore, when Bran asked, he must have known what was coming, right? And if that's so, then why the fuck did he take Bran to that place? What is happening? I think my brain is melting from the loop it's on. Brilliant storytelling. Really fantastic. My favorite season so far. Mr. Blog! That's me. Happy trails and hope to have you back next season every week. Take care of yourself, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Kristen. Really appreciate that. I am taking care of myself. I don't want anybody to think that I'm in some dire straits. I'm not. I'm fine. It's just stressful, and it was just too much at once. And I've got my kids, one kid graduating 5th grade. I'm making air quotes when I say graduating, and the other one graduating, air quotes, 8th grade. There's just a lot of stuff going on right now. I'm good. I'm fine. Thank you so much, Kristen. She and I have actually been having some wonderful discussions on via Facebook through message. So I want to say how much I appreciate that. And to everybody that I've been chatting with via Facebook personally, thank you guys so much. The send off I've been getting this last week since I announced that I was going to be leaving has been, oh my God, it's been so heartwarming. I'm sure there are a lot more people out there who have just not been saying anything. And they're like, oh my God, thank God this fucker's gone. Please bring on Jason. And I really understand that as well. But for those of you who've been in my corner in all of this, and really everybody should be happy about Jason coming back. Thank you guys so much. It's actually meant way more to me than any of you can even understand. Well, and seriously, it's been really nice.
And I understand. Do you want to let it out of the bag that there may be some point you may be participating again at some point?
I said that at the beginning. I said that at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. So
I'll be coming back for the season finale. I'll be here in episode 10 with Jason and David. So it's going to be fun. But I'm not going to be the host of the show. That's a little bit of a different thing. So
yeah. And I'm really appreciate
it's been nice.
And I really appreciate that you allowed me to be on with you for your final episode. So much appreciated,
man. This is great. You and I always have a great time. So
yeah, we really.
Let's move on.
All right, Wendy
Get all emotional
wrote
here.
in and said this season has been as incredible as it's been heartbreaking. Yep. We've become so invested in the characters this show has brought to life. Bran and Mira barely making it out alive, but costing us Summer and Hodor. Hodor's entire story circle coming full circle. Wow. Such a beautifully satisfying scene between Jorah and Dany. And finally, just give into the feels, Brienne. Tormund is your soulmate. Oh, yeah. The ginger love. The season has me counting the days to Sunday night. # hold the door. Thanks, Wendy. Well said.
Andrew Lee says, I really don't believe Arya is willing to give up on her old life and lose her. Oh, this is actually getting into emails here. I think. No, this is still Facebook. Excuse me.
Facebook, yeah.
I really don't believe Arya is willing to give up her old life and lose her identity for the many-faced god. The way she was understandably repulsed at seeing the portrayal of her father beheaded and how she questioned Jaqen over the woman she is ordered to kill shows she is still an independent girl and may be using him more than he is using her. Excuse me. Intriguing to see how Sansa is operating now she has backing and looking forward to how this plays out. She was very powerful in shutting Littlefinger down. Yes, she was. Also interesting to see Varys, cool exterior shaken, and another red woman. Oh, it's all so good. I can't wait for next week. Hope you also return to the show soon, Mr. B.
Nice.
Thank you very much.
And Christy Birch wrote in and said, Hodor's eventual Caesar-like trauma changed the course of history and led to him being able to save Bran and Mira. Though he was initially a low-born stable boy, untrained to fight, his size and strength would have encouraged the Starks to train him to be a valuable fighter asset against their enemies. Now, if this happened, he would have been off to war in the face of danger rather than carrying Bran across the north. So, his trauma rendered him unable to do anything but his duty, which is care for Bran. Well said, Christy. I like that.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Pake Allen writes in, wow, such a terrifically intense episode. Fuckity fuck, not Hodor, fuck. Wait, wrong podcast for that one. But really, those whites were so scary.
Yeah, crawling on the ceiling?
Oh my God. No, it was the way they're handling the whites on this show is brilliant.
Really masterful, really masterful.
Loved it.
You know, after, seeing, we see that the sort of zombie in our culture, and I think after a while we become a little bit climatized to it. They're sort of shaking it up, and it makes it really spooky. Maya Suzuki says, I need to be held. I just need to be held.
And our last one here is from Laura Willie Swink. Like all the Dothraki calls, season 6 is on fire. Yet another episode where I want to rewatch it the minute it is over. Something I thought we'd never see. Both Littlefinger and Varys looking 10 times less cocky than they've ever been. So much revelation. Just when we thought we'd learn about Jon Snow's parentage, instead, we find out the parents of the White Walkers, the children of the goddamn forest. Boom! And sweet, poor, loyal Willis hold the door. No other character has garnished so much love for one line of dialogue since I am Groot. Rest in peace, Willis, loyal Summer, and Creepy Leaf.
Creepy Leaf.
By the way, I got to say, we also got a loss of one of the cooler looking White Walkers as well.
Yeah, was that the long-haired the long-haired walker, the hippie
yes,
walker?
The hippie walker. Now, we've only seen 3 people have taken out White Walkers in this series.
Okay,
Sam,
let's count them off.
Well, Sam.
Yeah.
John.
And
now Mira. So that's a tight group.
So it looks like it was one of the arrowheads that Sam had given her. She put on the end of a spear.
No. I don't think that was Sam. Did Sam give that? Yeah. Sam couldn't have given it. Did Sam give that to Mira?
Yeah, when Sam and Gilly met up with them at that tower.
Yes.
Sam giving 3 or 4 arrowheads to Mira.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
We saw one put to use. So it's all about that Dragonstone. It's all about the obsidian, man.
Very powerful stuff.
Good stuff. So now we're into the emails. Rem, take the first one here.
Sure. Victoria Meyer wrote in and said, Dear Game of Microphones team, I couldn't sleep after I watched The Door. What an emotional episode. I'm still traumatized by it. First Summer, then Hodor. My heart hurt so bad when I realized that Hodor's life was only meant for that moment. I guess now the theory about Bran and the butterfly effect has a point. Poor Hodor must have known it all the time. Bran has managed to learn everything from the three-eyed raven in that little time that they had left to do their thing. It's kind of great that a weapon that the children created to defend themselves is now the enemy of everyone. Hope they can defeat the Night's King. He's so creepy. And speaking of creepy, the new Red Woman is just a little frightening. Have you seen the look on Varys' face? I was enjoying it because all the previous episodes, it seemed he couldn't be scared of anything. Except when Tyrion was visiting the dragons. Sansa and Jon was great. Loved seeing them both together. One of my favorite moments when Arya watched the play about what happened in King's Landing. It was so sad for her to be reminded of that. But at least now that we know that she's still in there and she isn't just no one. Go Arya! Valar Morghulis! Valar Dohaeris! Greetings from Germany, Victoria.
Danke, Victoria. Appreciate that. Our next letter, last email here, and I want to thank everybody who sent in emails. Again, we did have to cut things out due to time, so just letting that know. But from Stuart Kearns, wow, incredible episode, incredibly sad, true, but still incredible. So many cool origin stories, Hodor and the Night's King. Also, and you may not have caught this, but in the scene backstage after the play, they hinted at the backstory of a yet-to-be-introduced character, Hodong.
Oh, no. Hodong.
Love the podcast, Stuart. Now, is that true? I didn't catch that at all. Did you actually catch that at all?
I caught the dong, but not the hodong.
Oh, really? So that it's true?
Well, yeah, because there was the guy's wiener. Remember the wiener guy with the warts?
Well, we saw his dick, but that was Joffrey. I didn't think...
That was the actor playing Joffrey, right?
Yes,
But-
I don't think there
but-
was actual hodong. I think that's Stuart just having a little bit of a fun with us on this one.
I think the actual Hodor comes much more equipped.
that's right. I've seen what he's packing. And
Absolutely.
that leaves Joffrey's 2 warts. Joffrey actor's 2 warts in the dust. So yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, now we did receive a number of voicemails. We actually got 4 different voicemails, but it's in 5 parts. And part of that is because one of our listeners got cut off. But we'll get to that in just a moment. So first one here is from Jason. I think that's a big question mark because I couldn't quite understand what you said, from Orlando. So here we go. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this. So to you and I don't have a nice board where you're going to be able to hear this. So I'm just going to have to play the voicemails from my phone into the.
Sure.
So, but I'm not sure which one's which now because I have 5 open here. Wait, I don't think that's it. Let me see. Nope, that's Breadman. Okay, that's one of the ones that got cut off here. Let me see. I'm trying to find it. Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, that's Breadman again. Okay. So he's the one that got cut off. So that's this. I'm trying to figure out which is which here. Oh, that's Becky. Okay. Now I'm finally sorting out which is which on my phone. They all came different order. Ah, here it is. Okay. So now I'll start recording here once I start playing this, and we can comment while we're doing it because I'll link it up later.
Hey guys, this is Drew from Orlando.
Maybe it's Drew.
I actually got my hands on a leaked copy of tonight's episode, so that's why I'm leaving this, message so early. Oh my god. Hodor means hold the door. I can't believe that. Friggin' Brank actually can friggin' ward and actually friggin' affect the past. Which is, man, I love time travel, and that's basically a time travel friggin' paradox causality loop. I don't know. It was awesome. I just can't believe that. And it just, I had my hand over my mouth watching Hodor get ripped in half while we hear his younger self just say, hold the door as it transforms into Hodor. So the whole time, that's what he was saying. I can't believe that. And the Children of the Forest made the White Walkers basically to protect them from the First Men when they were taking over their lands in that war. I mean, that's awesome. So the monster they created basically overtook them. I can't believe it, man. This show is just so awesome. I just can't wait to see what the next episode brings. And then Sansa standing up, telling Littlefinger that he's either an idiot or an enemy, and just seeing all this stuff come through. Oh my God, I can't wait, and I can't wait to listen to your podcast and or tomorrow, whenever. Yeah, probably Monday or Tuesday I'll listen to. I can't remember because I got too much Game of Thrones in the brain. But anyway, thanks guys. Can't wait to listen. Take care.
Oh, right on, man. That's fantastic. Thank you. You gotta love that. That dude is just really into it. He was really excited.
Well, you can tell. And I felt the same way after watching the episode. I just stared at the screen. And I thought, "Oh Christ!" And how do I verbalize this? And that's the feeling after these episodes. There's that feeling of overwhelm, and I need a moment. I need a moment to process this. No,
I agree. Thank you so much. Again, I'm not sure if it's Drew or Jason or what that was. I'm sorry. It's hard to tell on that one. Next one was pretty clear. Next voicemail is from Becky from Savannah.
Hey guys, it's Becky from Savannah. That was just depressing. That whole show was just like a huge depression fest. First of all, the brunette woman that's with Tyrion and Varys now, I don't like her, and I don't like how she was talking to Varys, and I've grown to like him a lot, and you need to leave him alone because he has a thing with sorcery because of a whole incident that happened when he was a kid, and you need to not poke fun at him for that. Right. And I didn't like the way she talked to him, and I don't like any of that at all. And I will now call her the brunette woman because I don't know what else to call her. I don't remember what her name was. But the whole thing with the tree in the north or beyond the wall, wherever they are, the whole time that was happening and the battle was going on, I just was thinking, this is just unfair. this poor girl's like trying to wake Bran up. She's got nothing and no one. The stupid old guy in the tree's not doing shit. He's just sitting there with his eyes rolled back in his head. Like, I don't, and I don't, maybe you guys can explain this to me, because as a non-book reader, I don't understand the whole thing with, like, why does Bran control Hodor every time he goes into one of these little dream things that he goes with the Raven? I don't know how that works, and I don't know how, like, it's kind of like a mind fuck if you think about it, because, like, he's in the dream thing, he sees Hodor, I think he starts, like, working into Hodor, I think, and maybe y'all can explain it better to me, while he's in a dream, and that gets Hodor to get up and move around and outside the world, and so that kind of links them together. So young Hodor becomes, you know, mentally challenged Hodor because of an event that Bran forced on him in the future, but while they were in a dream about the past, the whole thing's just kind of like a big mind fuck, and it's a little hard to wrap your brain around, and I don't exactly know how it works. So if y'all can explain that to me, I'd appreciate it, but...
Nah.
Oh, the whole thing. I swear to God, if this show kills one more goddamn dog, I'm probably off the show. I'm just done. I can't do it anymore. So, and Hodor was just sad. I mean, just depression. And I hope that Jaime next week just destroys the High Sparrow, and that it just picks up the broken pieces of my heart that are scattered on the floor. So, hope you guys have a great week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Big hug for you, Becky.
Well, thank you, Becky. I don't think we're any good in terms of helping you out on trying to unpack this, because it's really fucking confusing.
I think she got it. I think she pretty much got it, that Bran was in the past, but was also able to warg into young Willis, because we see at one point he's in the past, and then you see present day Hodor.
But I don't think he did. He didn't warg into young Hodor. That's the thing, is he did warged into old Hodor.
He did them both, actually, because at the one point you see current day Hodor, you see his eyes go white for just a moment.
Yeah. Well, but that was even before he got into a battle mode, if you will.
Yeah. Deploy shields.
Exactly. And so that is definite, but in the past he just ended up having a seizure event. So I don't know.
I think Willis's eyes went white as well.
Maybe he did.
I believe so. I believe, and I'm sure Jason will get lots of email determining whether or not we're right, but I'm pretty sure that young Willis, I think his eyes went white as well.
Perhaps.
So I think Bran was actually remote Hodoring the future and past Willis / Hodor at the same time.
Maybe. I don't know. Sorry, I wish we could have been more help for you, Becky, but as you heard, we are confused on this. Okay, so this next one is from the Bread Man. I think that's what he's going as. Again, these voicemails are hard to understand. And this is the one where his call does get cut off, so you'll hear it cut off, and then it's going to start again. So let's take it from here, the beginning.
Hey, Game of Microphones. This is the Bread Man. What a fucking episode this was. Season 6, Episode 5, The Door. Oh, my God. It was beyond what I could imagine. But I just wanted to call and give you my quick top 5. My number 5, I had Sansa confronts Littlefinger and sends him away, which I was very happy to see, but makes me, after talking with John, it makes me wonder, is she going to possibly need him and his troops? It's a possibility. I'm hoping she doesn't need to resort to that, but you never do know. My number 4, Dany sending Jorah to find a cure and marching outward for the Dothraki army. I can't wait to see if Jorah is able to find a cure. We've seen that it happened with Shireen, that there is a cure. Hopefully he'll be able to find it, and I think he's in the right part of the world to be able to find something like that. And I'm also curious to see how Dany's going to react when she gets back to Meereen, with what Tyrion has done with his deal with the Masters and now his deal with the Red Priestess. I'm hoping that all works out for her. My number 3 was learning about the origin of the White Walkers.
Yeah,
I never expected that it was the Children of the Forest that began the whole process and pretty much began the whole war. And to do it to save them from the humans, which is understandable, but now it's kind of like they unleashed a monster that they can't control, and because obviously they themselves were being attacked at the end there, and it's really a scary prospect that, and even the ones that created these White Walkers can't even control them. So can anything. My number 2 was Euron being declared Lord of the Iron Islands, while Yara and Theon capitalized on his brilliant idea to take the Navy over to find Daenerys.
Perhaps.
I thought that was really brilliant of Yara and Theon to do that. I hope that's what they're doing, is taking their ships to go find the Dragon Queen and win back Westeros. And so I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen with that, and if Euron's going to be able to build his navy in time to catch up with them or stop them. And so that whole scene's going to be interesting. But my number 1 was without a doubt the whole Hodor story.
Hodor.
It was very sad. It was very intense, and Hodor is just super brave.
Hodor.
In my eyes, it literally brought me to tears. To think he had one purpose in life
Oh, and that's where he got cut off. So,
hey, this is the Breadman again. I got cut off. I didn't realize that I had the time limit, so I apologize. But I just wanted to finish talking about the whole Hodor scene at the end there. I've got a few questions. Hopefully, maybe you guys will bring it up or can talk about it. My first question is, how was during the vision, how was the Night's King able to see Bran while he was warging? I thought that was very interesting, that he was the one that saw him and was able to touch him and brand him. That was super super scary, and it's just not what I expected. And then to see that army when they went outside right there, it was just amazing. It was just intense. Also, will Bran and Mira get to safety? Since Hodor gave his life to protect them, and that's pretty much what his whole purpose in life has been. And also, now that Bran's wolf and Hodor are both dead, both beings that he's been able to warg into, will Bran still be able to warg into them as zombies, or is that connection lost? Or, what are your thoughts on that? I look forward to hearing the show tomorrow, and I wish you luck, and thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you very much, Breadman.
Wow, warging into a zombie Hodor? That's a different idea.
It is a different idea. I do not know how I feel about that, but interesting idea. We'll find out.
He could use them. He could use the zombie Hodor to destroy other members of the zombie army. I like that.
It's an interesting idea. I like it. And then we got the last one here. It's from Kate in LA.
Hey guys, it's Kate in Los Angeles again. So, Hodor. As Mira said, hold the door. I went full Culkin, hands on my face, and said, hold the door. Hodor. I knew what was about to happen, and I was still not emotionally prepared for it. And just to see that Willis's condition had a purpose, to see him fulfill that purpose, for the fulfillment of that purpose to be an ultimate sacrifice for the greater good, it just plucks all of the mythological heartstrings. Well done, boys. Meanwhile, damn it, guys, stop killing dire wolves. Death. And it makes me think that Shaggy Dog really was Shaggy Dog, as much as I didn't want to believe it, because they are just winnowing away the wolves, and it sucks. So I heard speculation that maybe Mira is going to take Bran to her home now and maybe meet up with Jon and Sansa there on their Northern Loyalty Roundup tour, and maybe that's when Howland Reed will be all, hey guys, while you're here, funny story about who Jon Snow's mother is.
Ooh, by the way,
awesome.
like it.
Last point. Are we actually being ridiculous about getting worked up over who's going to inherit the Iron Throne? Because based on that episode, I'm wondering if this story may just end with the entire civilization being wiped out by an army of the undead. And then maybe the dragons will swoop through and barbecue the White Walkers and then go off to live in peace and never be heard from again. And it will just be a story that ends with everyone dead. I wouldn't put it past George Martin to do that.
The end.
I hope not, because all this speculation is super fun. So your show. Thanks for keeping up the good work. Bye.
Oh, thank you, Kate. You know, I'm beginning to think Kate is like my spirit animal. I grew up in the LA area, so I don't know. Maybe there's something there. But thank you all so much for all of those wonderful voicemails. There's a lot of great things being thrown around in there, and shit that I most certainly didn't think about, and I love it, and it's got my little wheels turning, and they are little wheels, so I appreciate that very much, so thank you all. Oh, man, we are coming to the end of this extraordinarily long episode, I gotta say. Rem, what do you have for us for next week?
Well, I think we're going to be getting something definitely Danny-centric next week on Game of Thrones. It's Season 6, Episode 6, and it's going to be called Blood of My Blood, written by David Benioff, directed by Jack Bender. And the synopsis, now I want to get your input here. Synopsis says, an old foe comes back into the picture. Gilly meets Sam's family. Wah, wah, wah. Arya faces a difficult choice, and Jaime faces off against the High Sparrow.
Yes!
Oh, yeah. So question, who's the old foe?
I don't know.
Could it be one Sandor Clegane?
Oh, my God, I hope so.
Wouldn't that be great?
I feel it's still a little too early for that, but it is possible. Who else could be an old foe? Oh, I don't know.
We'll have to think about that.
I really don't know. Yeah, I'm excited about this. Gilly gets to meet Sam's family.
I know who it is. It's Gendry, and he's pissed. He finally found land.
You guys put a leech on my dick, you bastards. I'm going to kill you all. Oh, wait, but
bastard.
Stannis is dead, though, so that's kind of all taken care of. Well, thank you very much. I don't know what any of that means. Vague as always. I love those next week on Game of Thrones because they mean basically nothing.
Yep.
The trailer looks good. I cannot wait. I'm just of the opinion that who knows, even what we see, it's not really a clue to what it's really going to be. So mystery.
And that's the way to be.
I think so, especially with this show. But on this show, I got to ask, you ready to close this out?
Let's do it, man.
Oh my God. Thank you. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 813-563-3739. That's 813-JOFFREY.
Minus the warts. And if you'd like to write in, you can... I had to get that in there. If you'd like to write in, you can email us at game@podcastica.com.
Yeah, and by all means, make sure you check out all of the podcasts in the Podcastica network under the comic covers. Of course, I got to make my pitch for my podcast, the Sci-Fi Movie Podcast.
Well, thank you.
With Rem and some other ones, but definitely check those out. And also check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/GOM podcast, or just type in Game of Microphones. It comes up.
I think the thing that I really take away from this is Hodor. Oh, Hodor, Hodor, Hodor.
So, yeah, check out podcastica.com, Hodor, and facebook.com, Hodor. And join us next week for Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 6, with Jason, Jenny, and Doug. Now, I do need to give a little forewarning. Jason will be at Walker Stalker Con in Chicago, so he may be a little late in getting this out, so it may not drop until Wednesday, but he is going to try to get it out on Tuesday. But until then, that's our show. Thanks for listening. And I got to say, my last final thing, thank you all for sharing the last 5 episodes with me, as well as what we did on last season. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you in the season finale. So take care, everybody.
Hodor.
Hodor.